Hey everybody, it's me Stacey here at Scrapbooking Made Simple, and it's time for Saturday with Stacey YouTube number 263. And this is a surfaces YouTube. There's going to be a lot of information for you. You are probably going to want to take notes. So I'm going to pause my face for a minute. There's my pause face. So you can go and grab paper and pencil so you can take the notes that are going to be important to you. There are lots of surfaces out there in the crafting world that you may not be familiar with that are phenomenal, but they all behave a little bit differently, and you may have seen them in your local craft store and not know what to do with them, or you may have purchased them and perhaps used the wrong ink or coloring medium to make them work and were not happy with it. So this is going to be an ABC 1, 2, 3 on some very unique and different surfaces that are out there on the market. And yes, we'll be doing a little bit of die cutting, but you don't have to die cut with these surfaces at all. So again, if you want to take notes, here's my pause face. I don't blink during my pause face. That way it doesn't look like I'm half asleep. There it is. Hurry. Okay, we're back. Now I can blink. I also want to preface this YouTube with the information that I do not watch other people's YouTubes. I just don't. I don't want to know how they present. I don't want to, not because I don't want to learn, it's because I would critique myself. Your harshest critic is you. And sometimes those voices in your head are way worse than any voices anywhere else. So I don't watch other people's YouTubes because I don't want to go, oh, I should do it that way, or oh, I could change it that way, or oh, I'm not as good. I just want to be me. So with that being said, there is more than one way to do something. And some of the things I may show you, you may have already seen somebody else do. I don't know. And the way they do it may be perfectly fine and work great as well, because we're crafters and we're innovators, and we all out there in the crafting industry, including yourself, will find a way to make something work if you really want it to work. So I may do things a little bit different than somebody else. That doesn't mean that my way is wrong or that my way is better. It just means that my way is different. And I'm going to be playing with several different surfaces today and several different coloring mediums today. So if you see something that's a little different than what you've seen before, well, now you've got two different ways of maybe getting to the same result, and you pick the one that works best for you. So I wanted to preface that I don't watch anybody else's YouTubes, so I'm doing it the way that that feels right for me, and a way that I think is easier, or a way that's achievable for you. And so I just want to say that because I know that I'm going to run into things that I'm doing that you may have seen someplace else. Also, Spellbinder warehouse sale. Okay, so first day is getting wrapped up. Probably another week or so to finally pick all of the first day, and then it goes to quality control, and then it goes to shipping. But what that means for people who place their order on the second, third, and fourth day of the Spellbinder warehouse sale in December of 2017, yes, December of 2017, if you placed your order then and you chose pay later, it's later. Your invoices are on the way to you. So we have already purchased all of the merchandise. It has shipped in. It ships in like a little bit every time, just because we don't have a place to store it. So if we sold 500 of something, they'll ship like 125 this week and 125 next week and 100. That way we deplete the stock we have and the next shipment's already here, because we just don't have room to store all of that product. But if you placed your order on the second, third, or fourth day, I think the pay laters are on their way out to you, if not already in your inbox. So we're going to wrap on down with that and keep working on those Spellbinder warehouse sale orders, and you're going to love, love, love everything you got, because my gosh, the prices were love, love, love. Okay, what else do I have to tell you? Okay, update on the house really quick. Turns out, well, nothing has changed. Still have no settlement. we're still fighting. We're working on it, and we submitted our plans to the city of Santa Clarita for the rebuild because we figured, okay, Michael, Mr. SMS already drew them. We'll get them submitted and get them through the process. Turns out that they would like us to do a soils report on the property. Soils report is $4,500, and guess what the insurance has decided they're not going to pay for? Just got the letter saying, yeah, we don't think we're going to cover that for you. We're not sure that it's absolutely necessary. Well, when the city that issues the permit for you to be able to build your house says it's necessary, guess what? They're not going to issue a permit until it's done because they've deemed it necessary. So I don't know. We're going to figure this out. I wasn't expecting a $4,500 charge, but that's okay. We'll get it worked out. But no, nothing new with the house. We haven't moved in. We haven't even started building. Obviously, we're not even out of plan check yet because we've got to figure out how to get that soils report done. So I'm anticipating probably 6 weeks before I have another update on the house, because guess how long it takes to get a soils report done? About 6 weeks. Woohoo! Okay, so there's my update, and I'm just gonna find the silver lining in every single cloud and say that, well, at least we will know that the soil that our house has, that our house is on. Now, the house has been there since 1964. It was built in 1964. So in 2018, we'll have the comfort in knowing that the soil that our house is built on is going to stand the test of time and that our house will not fall down. Right? We'll have it in writing that it's good soil. Even though the house was built in 1964, we'll have it in writing that woohoo kachoo. So there's our silver lining. I might even frame the soils report when it's all done just so we can look at it and admire it and say, oh, look. Okay, so maybe that was a little sarcasm, just a wee bit, but anyway. Okay, what else is going on? Winner chicken dinner. Oh, and the update to the site, to the website. So those of you who are placing orders are now seeing when you pay for your order. If you pay for your order at time of checkout, the status is now a payment received. And when that order makes it upstairs to start being fulfilled, it will then change to awaiting fulfillment. If you are a pay later person, you're still seeing your pay later status until you pay, and then it changes to awaiting fulfillment, and it's going upstairs. And our next step is to move it from awaiting fulfillment to awaiting shipping, and it's going to take us a little while to get used to this step, but then we're going to implement another step so that you will have payment received, awaiting fulfillment, awaiting shipping, and finally shipped to you. All right, so those are some updates. Wahoo Kachoo, now we have Winner Chicken Dinner, which is so much more fun to talk about. Okay, what do we have for you today? We have, oh yeah, the tonic cards, the resist cards with the foil on it, and the Prima resist canvas. Weren't those both beautiful and so easy to use and on an amazing price? Amazing price. So I have Winner Chicken Dinner. If you are Lacey B, congratulations, you're a winner, but you're not alone. Who do we have to go with you? Terry Dowdy, Terry and Lacey. You're a winner, chicken dinner. You're a winner, chicken dinner. Now I'm going to show your names. Did you snap? You have to snap. If you don't snap, it just does not count. I am so sorry. Snap. I'm going to show your names to be sure that you see them. That's you. So if that's Terry, and if you're Lacey, congratulations. You have 30 days from the original air date of this YouTube class to claim your prize. Do not let it go to the land of misfit prizes. Our anniversary sale is actually coming up at the end of this month, and all of those unclaimed prizes we're going to be giving away. We give away at least 100 prizes every anniversary sale. So if you don't claim your prize Well, somebody else is going to be very, very happy, but not you. You posted your comment. Don't forget to go to scrapbookingmadesimple.com and look for the link that says winner, winner, chicken dinner to post your prize. Congratulations to both of you. Wahoo, kachoo. Now, the last thing I want to tell you is that while we are focusing on surfaces today, we are also doing a best of Simply Refined. We've had quite a bit of our Simply Refined dies and stamps down for a while so we could do a full physical inventory. And on some of the dies and stamp sets that we've had in the past, we have maybe 4 or 5 left out of the entire collection. And then others, we have a larger amount. So we are going to be putting those back online for this YouTube. So if you missed something in Simply Refined that you wished you had gotten, now is your chance to do it. This is only online. So those of you who are in-store peeps, these dies will not be in the store. It is only online. You can place your order online, all of you in-store peeps, absolutely. And you can choose, pick it up in our retail store so you don't worry about shipping or anything. But the orders have to be done online. We can't take any phone orders and you can't come in to purchase the older dies that we have a few left. Why? Because we have to keep the inventory straight so that we don't accidentally oversell something. So all of you in-store peeps, go online, check out the online store. Who knows, you might like it. Okay, we're gonna get started for today. I hope you enjoy this YouTube. I hope you take notes. And most importantly, I hope it answers some of the questions that you have. And that you see that there's more than just cardstock out there to play with when you're crafting. And it doesn't matter if you are a card maker or a scrapbooker or altered art or mixed media. In fact, some of this product you can even use for quilting and fabric art. So we are going to get started for today. I'm going to be playing with a Simply Refined die set today. And then at the end, I've got samples along with some of the samples from time gone by of some of the Simply Refined that we've released over the last 3 years for you to see. And hopefully go online and see that you found the one thing you were missing that you wanted. All right? All right, we're going to tilt on down for today and we're going to get started. And it is good to see you. Bye. Down, down, down. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Scooch, scooch, scooch. And maybe a little bit more. Okay, I think that's good. Yeah, does that work for everybody? Okay, it's gonna be good enough. All right, so this is the free make and take that's going on downstairs right now. We do a free make and take in our store every Saturday. I'm sitting out there with all of you who come in, and this is the free make and take, and we are using Foamerin to do our flowers. Now you may also know it under the name art foam. And there's lots of YouTubes on how to make art foam or Foamerin flowers. What I don't think they necessarily get into is how it reacts with different inks. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because Foamerin is a very unique surface. It's beautiful, it's easy to work with, but if you don't use the right coloring medium, you may find yourself not in love, love, love. And again, I know there's lots of YouTubes on Foamerin, so what I do may be different from what somebody else does, but it may all work out just the same. You would just have to decide what technique you like better. Now, I'm not going to start with the Foamerin because I've got other surfaces that I want to show you, and I think I'm going to start with just some basic cardstock. That's all this is your plain vanilla white cardstock. And this is Simply Defined, and this feels like it's 100 pound. And I'm going to be playing with a couple different mediums because I want you to see the difference of what these mediums do. Now we use Memento Ink a lot in here. It's our go-to all-purpose, absolute love it, love it, love it ink. Oh, I forgot my paper towels. Okay, well, we're gonna go without paper towels, I guess. And so Mementos come in dewdrop size, and you can understand why they call it a dewdrop. They come in full-size pads. They come with you can get re-inkers for them, and they come in a marker, which is really nice because your marker you can use as your oops pin. Your full-size pad, I would only get in the colors that are your go-to colors, your black or your brown or your red, whatever you use a lot of. And then I would get all the other colors in the dewdrop size. That way you have a beautiful assortment of colors without spending a lot of money. These retail for $2.29. They have a felt pad on the top, not a foam pad, and they are completely re-inkable because we sell the re-inkers for them. Now, Memento is a dye-based ink, and that means it's going to soak into this paper very, 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 very fast. So if I were to put it on here, it's going to soak into my paper very, very, very fast. It is the best ink to stamp with. If you wanted to ink up a stamp and stamp it, oh my goodness gracious, Memento is fabulous. 1, because it is a beautiful dye-based ink and it sinks right in. 2, because there's so many different colors available to you. 3, because it has that marker that lets you use it as an oops pen. Have you ever inked up a stamp and stamped it and missed just a little space and it's like, oh man, now I gotta restamp the whole thing? Well, not with the Memento markers, because you can just go in, the colors exactly match, and you could go in and kind of fudge in that little line that you missed. But because they are a dye-based marker, they don't work well with water. So if you're using Copic markers, yay for you. This is not going to smear with when you use your Copics, or if you're wanting to watercolor. Memento ink does not move. And let me show you. It just does not move. It's a dye-based ink, and it just does not move. It's already soaked into my paper, even if I was quick about it. It just does not want to move. So if you were using black and you stamped and you wanted to watercolor, guess what's not gonna move? The ink. It's not gonna move. That way you can go in there and watercolor and you're not gonna have black shmeary everywhere. Dye-based ink Memento. Now, can you put it onto your craft mat? Sure. Can you add a little water to it? Sure. And then can you paint with it? Yes. It still is not going to let you blend. So once I get it on my paper, it's not going to let me blend. So you're going to see the brush strokes. There's no way for me to get rid of those brush strokes. No matter how much water I use, those brush strokes are there because it's a dye-based ink and it soaks right into that paper, which makes it beautiful for stamping. Now that's Memento ink, which is totally different than your Tombow markers. Completely different than your Tombow markers. Now, Tombow markers are also a dye-based ink, but they tend to react with water. They like water. They enjoy water. They like to be blended and mixed. But what happens when you put it straight onto paper? So let's write Memento. What happens if I take it and I color straight to paper? And I take my water. Well, it moves a little bit, but it still leaves the lines there that you see. That's not really what we want, right? We want it to blend and be happy. So, Tombows, which are dual tip, you have a brush tip on one side, which is really, really nice, and then you have your oops pin or your writing on the other. Tombows, unlike the Memento, really like to be put onto a palette and palette painted. And the nice thing about the Tombows is depending upon how much water you add, you can tone your color to whatever makes your heart happy. So there's a light tone. There's a medium tone. I guess I can go darker than that. Let's put a little more down and use almost no water and pick that up. And there's a dark tone. You would not be able to do these with your Memento. No can do. And because we're on 100-pound paper, it's soaking right in. It's not giving a lot of time for movement. So if I went back in, I'm not going to be able to blend these colors on 100-pound paper because it's already soaked into the paper. Can't do it. 100-pound paper or cardstock in general, you can certainly go in there and just play and do beautiful things, but you can't go in there and reblend and reblend and reblend. It's not going to let you. The paper just isn't meant for that. It's very, very porous. But with a Tombow marker, if you palette paint, you can absolutely go in and mix colors and do watercolor looking types of beautiful images. And I could take my yellow and mix it in with my red and add some water and mix the two together and make a whole new color. I can do all of that with a Tombow marker, and you would not be able to do that with a Memento, especially on your basic cardstock. So here we have Tombows, which are meant to work with water. Memento is no water. Tombow is yay with water. Yay with water. Mementos not so much. Now I'm going to grab another piece of paper and I'm going to bring over watercolor pencils. I've got Nouveau, and again, I am still on my 100-pound cardstock. Haven't moved to anything, stayed with my 100-pound cardstock. Now watercolor pencils, well, they're called watercolor pencils for a reason. They love water. And you can color, and then you can add some water to it. And the pencil, those crayon lines, or what look like crayon lines, are going to turn into a paint. Look at that. And it moves and it blends. What a difference, right? From this to that. What if I wanted to add some orange in there? Put some orange down here. And take my water and blend, blend, blend. And again, this is on cardstock. And look at how it's blending. Yay! Watercolor pencils love water, even on a very porous piece of paper. Wahoo Kachoo. And these are the Nouveau brand that I'm playing with. Now we also have Marabou Art Crayons. What's an art crayon? An art crayon is a soft pastel in a crayon form. And crayon form in Germany means a fine art soft pastel. This isn't like a Crayola crayon. It may look kind of like a Crayola crayon, but it is not. And Marabou loves water. And there's a couple different ways to use it. Now, if you were to put Marabou straight to your paper on just cardstock, you can take that and you can kind of smoosh it with your fingers if you want. You can put it straight to your cardstock, but I want to show you what happens if you get it wet when you take it straight to your cardstock. It's going to move, but depending upon how hard you've put it down, you may still be able to see a few lines. Can you see some of those lines? Because this is 100-pound cardstock and it's absorbing in really quickly. I don't know if you can see them. They're there. They're very, very faint, but they are there. Marabou on cardstock loves to be palette painted just like your Tombow markers. And it just loves, and it depends upon, I mean, you can go straight from the crayon with your brush to get it as dark as you want. Marabou loves, loves, loves water. And they love to be blended. So you can add more than one color and blend into more than one color and use more than one. Oh, brand new one. Look at me, happy day for me, brand new yellow. Woohoo, ka-choo. So if I wanted to play with my yellow, I could put it right down, add a little bit of water. Oh, I've got some of my old color in there. I could pull it straight from the tip of my crayon and get it down there. And Marabou loves to layer. That's what it's known for. Yes, it's called a crayon, but that's just what they call it in Germany for their fine art. This is a soft pastel in a crayon form. So it's very, very similar to a gelato. Absolutely, very similar to a gelato. And yes, similar to a Tim Holtz crayon. Quality level is a little different. The pigment is much higher in this. So this actually is found in most fine art stores, but the price is totally affordable. And the entire thing is filled with product. I'm afraid to go all the way. I mean, it's a lot of product. So they certainly gave you plenty to play with. And I want to say they're $3.99. But if you have gelatos or Tim Holtz, you've got something very similar to the Marabou. So again, this is 100-pound, just 100-pound cardstock. Whether you have 80-pound or 100-pound, you can see how the different product reacts differently. Tombow, or the Memento, doesn't like water at all, doesn't like to move. The Tombows love water, but not necessarily when you put it straight onto your cardstock paper. Not so much. Your watercolor pencil, well, love, love, love water. It just blends and melts right into a beautiful paste. And your Marabou, and again, see, I don't know if you can see those lines or not. They're very, very faint. But Marabou also loves water, and that's if you're working with basic cardstock. But what if we were working with something else? What if we were working with a different surface that maybe you're not overly familiar with? I'm going to put those to the side, and I'm going to bring out what is called paper leather. This is a Sizzix product, an Ellison product. I don't think they're the only company that makes it. I want to say True Text or Tough Text or something like that. It's very similar to that. What is this? Well, it's a paper product that has some kind of binder in it that keeps it from wanting to tear. It just doesn't want to tear. So when I was talking to you about using things that can be done in sewing and in quilting, this would be one of them because it will stand up to lots and lots and lots of water. Lots of water. And it reacts differently than basic paper. And again, it's meant to not tear. That's the whole point. So people really, really love this for mini albums because they like to make this their bindings because it will stand the test of time. If you're doing jewelry or cute little barrettes or headbands or anything like that, this is so popular because again, you can sew with it, you can sew on it, it can be washed, and it's going to stay. It's going to stay. But it does react differently than regular paper when you're using it with different inks. So here we're going to start with our Memento again. And Memento straight on there. Let's add a little water and see what happens. Do you see that the Memento is blending? What wouldn't work on paper is working on paper leather. So let's add a little bit of water. I got yellow in my water. I got red in my water. And look at, it's moving and letting me paint with it. Now there will come a point where it will saturate into the paper leather and it won't move anymore, but it certainly was different than what we had here. Memento, Memento. Look at even the color. Well, maybe I used two different colors. Okay, never mind. I used pink here and red here. So let's see what happens if I use pink over here. Now, would I have used Memento as my first choice on paper leather? Probably not. Probably not, because it takes quite a bit of effort to get the ink onto the leather versus some of the other ways I'm going to show you. But if it's what you have, well then by George, use it. If you need a pink and all you've got is a Memento and you're using paper leather, well then by George, use that. Because it will move on paper leather. And let's just write Memento. Memento, paper leather. Okay, disclaimer, I'm dyslexic. Not like I'm joking dyslexic, like I am dyslexic. So if my spelling is off, forgive me, but I do my best. Okay, paper leather. Really nice. And again, wet, not tearing. And how wet can you get it? Oh, I could just keep adding water and adding water and adding water. Paper leather loves water. Obviously, if you can wash it, it's going to stand up to water, which means if you're making cute little hair barrettes and they go swimming in them with little flowers on them, not a problem. If you're doing some kind of quilting or patchwork, not a problem. If you are making cute little animals with the hand stitching, not a problem. It's meant to use. So paper leather and Memento, yay. They work fine together. So if we take another piece of paper leather and we play with our Tombow pens, what do you think's going to happen? A little bit of water. Oh, do you see how vibrant that becomes? Do you see how beautiful that color becomes? That is rich and totally amazing, and you're left with no streaks or anything. Let's throw That's my wet wipies. There we go. Still using the ones Mr. SMS got me. Really wet. Let's see what happens when I take a lighter color of pink. Okay, not too fabulous, right? But let's see what happens if I blend. So I would need to work it more to get rid of that line, or I would have needed to start with my lighter color, but they do blend into each other. Let's add some more. And this is going straight to the paper. Straight to the paper. Oh, now we're getting a beautiful blend. How do we feel? Pretty cool, right? Really intense, and just pulled it out and used two colors. That's Tombow, and that's straight to the paper. What if we wanted to palette paint? I've got some blue there, my Tombow markers. I've got baby wipes everywhere now. Let's put some water into my blue. How pretty is that? Just lovely soft color. Easy peasy. And what happens if I go back and I want to darken it up here? I put it straight to it. My paper leather is still wet. And the color, it just moves and fades and blends and mixes and matches and just lets you do beautiful things. Paper leather is very user-friendly. Really, really user-friendly. And you could absolutely go back in there and add textures if you want to. You can go in and pick up and add. If I do this enough, I'm gonna like put little blotchy marks all over the place. It's up to you. Oh, I put my thumbprint right in it. Paper leather is very, very forgiving while being tough. Can you die cut with it? Yes, absolutely you can. But this is Tombow markers. What if we were using watercolor pencils? So here, Tombow. Tombow on paper leather. So we have Memento on paper leather. It blends. It's not as forgiving as the Tombows, but it'll blend. Or the Tombows, paper leather, which are totally different than regular cardstock. Now let's take another piece. Oh, I already grabbed another piece. How smart was I? And let's take our watercolor pencils. So let's take our, let's take a blue and a green and a purple. And let's do a little green at the top. And maybe a little blue. And then maybe a little purple. Now when you put it on your paper, it doesn't look like much. It looks like crayons. But when you add your water, because paper leather loves water, the watercolor pencil is going to melt into paint. And it's going to melt. Look at that. Look at that vividness. Look at how beautiful that is. It's going to melt. And it's going to blend And it's going to let you play and move. And it's going to take that water, and it's going to be okay with that water because it likes water. Look at the colors it almost looks like a snow cone. Look at how beautiful those blends are. And if I want more, I add more water. I can get in there and I can, it's tough, it's meant. I can move that paintbrush and I can flatten that color out. And I can get in there and make it what I want it to be without having to worry, is my paper going to dissolve? No, it's not. And it's not gonna rip either. Looky, nothing through the back. And yes, it's totally die cuttable. How beautiful is that? Paper leather. Watercolor pencils. And paper leather. Can you die cut paper leather? Yes, you can. Let's do it really quick. I'm gonna bring over, oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do the last one, which is one more sheet of paper leather. I'm gonna put my watercolor pencils away, and I'm gonna pull out my Marabou. And let's take my blue, and I have a choice. Now I don't want to draw too heavy because I don't want any lines left. So I'm going to try and draw kind of light because the pigment is so strong. And let's put a little bit of a green in here. And let's see what we get. And then a little bit of a yellow. Now I could just take it and smoosh it with my hands and just move my color with my hands if I wanted. Could do that. I've got red on my fingers. I can add my water. And again, look at how vibrant that color is. And I can add as much water as I want. To get my blend. Now, you may not like the texture that it leaves behind because you can still kind of see my crayon marks. And if that's the case, then with the Marabou, you're going to go in and you're going to pull that color straight from the crayon to get it down. And you won't have those lines. It's up to you. Do you like the texture? Because that's what it's added. It's added a little bit of texture. Do you like the texture or do you like it solid? And I can go back and make it darker on my edges. What if I were to put a little bit right there? Would it blend out? Yeah, I give it a 50-50. But I could pull my color straight from my crayon, which you can't necessarily do with your watercolor pencils. You can't do it at all with watercolor pencil. I think the one thing that people misunderstand about watercolor pencils is that your watercolor pencils can't actually touch water. And look at that, it just layers. It blends beautifully. It's like a watercolor pencil in that regard where it just, or the Tombows where they are meant to blend. They like to blend, they like to play with each other. Look at how beautiful is that. So this is Marabou on paper leather. Now, what did I say about blending? Hold on just a moment. Let me just move that. Okay, I'm going to bring my watercolor pencil back really quick. Now it's drying. It's lovely, right? Watercolor pencils are not meant to be placed in water. What happens, and let's bring a watercolor pencil back on regular paper. If I take my watercolor pencil and I add my water like I did, it's going to move beautifully, perfect. But if I go in there and I add more blue while it's wet, what can happen is it will leave the marks behind. You also aren't supposed to take your watercolor pencil and dip it into your water to make it work. I won't be using this blue one for a while. It's going to have to dry out because you're not going to be able to blend away those lines. Your watercolor pencils have to stay dry, and I don't care what medium you're using it on. They have to stay dry. If I want to do something with watercolor pencil, like I did here with the red, it's now dry. I can go back now that it's dry. I can go back and I can add more color to it. And I can add more vibrancy to my paper. But this is wet now. I couldn't go back and add any more until this dries. And that's going to be true anytime you use watercolor pencils. You want to be sure that whatever you're putting it on is completely dry. If you want to go back and add more and make it more intense, absolutely you can do that. But even on your paper leather, you don't want those scratch marks. And with your Marabou, if you don't like the texture on paper leather, you're going to want to paint it on. Not a problem, easy peasy. So we've used paper leather with Tombow. We used it with Memento where it actually moved, and it didn't move on regular cardstock. We used paper leather with Tombow, which was beautiful and vibrant and easy. And because Tombow comes in, I think, 90 colors, you've got lots of options. We used it with watercolor pencils, also beautiful and vibrant and just gorgeous to play with. And we used Marabou where we've colored it straight too, or we blended it on ourselves, just taking it straight from the crayon. Because the crayon really isn't a crayon, it's a soft pastel in a crayon form. Now, do these die cut? Yes, absolutely, we can die cut them. So let's grab this one. Paper leather. Clean up my mess. And let's bring over our die cutting machine, which is a Big Shot today. We actually have the Big Shot sitting out here, and we've got the Spellbinder's Platinum. And I'll show you the difference between the two a little bit later on. Big Shot, tried and true, fabulous, easy peasy, works every time. I'm gonna just add a flower there, and maybe I'll add a flower. Maybe I'll add this one up here and maybe that one down there. Can I get that one really good up there? Okay, so I've got 2 flowers right on my machine. I am working on a multi-purpose platform That comes with your machine, your Sizzix Big Shot or Big Kick machine. Doesn't matter if it's the smaller platform or the extended platform. The machines now come with an extended platform. The smaller one is sold separately. So if you like the ease of the smaller one, since about 95% of the dies you own are going to fit on the smaller one, it is a separate purchase. Do you have to have it? No, your big one's going to work just fine. It's just for ease. It's just for space and storage and bulkiness. But if you've got the big one, use the big one until you don't have, until for some reason you need a new one. It warps, it breaks, whatever, 5 years from now. You'd rather have the dyes or the inks or because you already have a platform that's going to work perfectly for you. I'm on a precision base plate. I'm using a wafer die on paper leather and a cut plate. Precision base plate. If you can read how to use your precision base plate and you're just about to send it through your machine, stop! You need to turn it over. And it doesn't matter if it's the mirrored precision base plate that's now chrome on top, or if it's version 1 or 2 where it's a darker metal. You shouldn't be able to read the directions on how to use it. Stop, turn it over. All right, let's send this on through. My cut pad is on top. I'm not using a do not cut plate because I don't want to ruin a do not cut plate. I've got my precision base plate. So when you're using a precision base plate, you only use one cut pad. Chances are this doesn't need to go again. Easy peasy. And your machine may have cut it without a precision base plate. Just depends upon how loose your machine is. So I'm going to set this back over here. And you can now see that I have cut beautiful flowers, which then I can scrunch. And you're like, why are you doing that? Well, because I want to make them a little more textured. You can scrunch and roll and ball them up and twist them and all sorts of things. And then layer them to start making your flowers. And the nice thing about these is if you get them wet, no problem, easy peasy. They're going to stay in their totality. They're not going to disintegrate. They're not going to dissolve. Paper leather is meant to do that, and it's meant not to tear. Okay, so we've gone through basic cardstock and we've gone through paper leather. Let me just put my paper leather stuff together and my cardstock stuff together, and we are going to move on. And we're going to move on to something called foamerin. Foamerin, also known as art foam. Art foam. Let me put a little more water in my cup. That way I don't spill. What is art foam or foamerin? Well, it's like a fun foam that's super thin. I mean, it's really thin. And what are people doing with it? Well, they're making the flowers that I showed you in the beginning. This card, this flower was made with a foamerin. So, lots of YouTubes on making flowers with foamerin, and it's very, very simple, and there's a couple different ways of doing it. I think one of the things that is not discussed is the ink that you use, because foamerin has a non-porousy texture to it. So ink doesn't just automatically zip in, it just doesn't dry on it. And so if you are using it, and let's say we'll just do it right on here. I'm going to cut a piece off. So I've got my Memento ink here, which is what I've started with every time, Memento ink, and I put it down. Look at how pretty it colors. Really lovely. And can you move it with water? Look at that, you can. Looks fabulous, right? And if you were just inking the edges of your petals, wouldn't that be wonderful? The only problem is that, one, it's going to take a little time to dry, but even then, even after it's dry, in fact, let me see, do I have my heat tool? Let's give it a little bit of a dry, just a quick one. Wow, that doesn't look anything like what it looked like a minute ago, does it? Look at that. Holy smokes, artichokes, that does not look like what I just did. But when it dries, it lightens up. It's not that vibrant, stunning, fabulous, amazing color that you started with. That looks totally different than this. And there's nothing wrong with this. Are you going shabby chic? Okay. But what you also need to know is that it's never quite gonna dry. Never quite gonna dry. Can you see it coming off? Let's see if I can. Oh yeah, look at that. So as I'm rubbing it, you can see my fingers. It's never quite going to dry. So it may look fabulous in the moment that you're doing it, but then you go to make your flowers and the next thing you know, it is all over your hands. And inky is great, don't get me wrong, inky is great. As long as inky eventually dries, if this is forever going to wipe off, you are not going to be happy with that. And it really does. It may dry eventually. I haven't found it to dry entirely. Memento on Foamerin. So while there's lots of YouTubes out there, the ink that you use on Foamerin is, or art foam, is really, really important. What about if we use our Tombow markers? So let's cut another piece. I bet I could even wipe this off. I bet I was right. Look at that. Well, if you didn't like the color you started with, or you realized it wasn't going to dry, ta-da! Look at that. That is not what you want. That is not going to work for you or for whatever project you're on. I started right back to scratch. That's kind of cool, but that way, you know, if you don't like it, if you grab the wrong ink, you didn't waste a piece of Foamerin or art foam, you can use it again. But let's cut another piece. And let's look at the Tombows. I'm almost too nervous to. Okay, Tombows. Beautiful, looks great. Let's do some down here, and we'll do water on this one down here. So let's grab my paintbrush, another baby wipe, get my red out of there, and let's add a little bit of water. Oh, see, beautiful color. Absolutely gorgeous color, but you already see it beading on. Look at it bead right onto the Foamerin. It's beading on it. That tells you, ooh, I don't think this is gonna sink in. Look at that. What happens if we like dab it up? So I dabbed up all the beading. And again, if you're doing texture, you may like that, but will it dry? Yeah. The plane that I just inked on did not dry, and this is certainly not dry. So you may edge your flowers with this, but when you go to actually make a flower with Foamerin and you twist and you pull, which I will show you, you're gonna find that your hands become very inky. And there are times where we love, love, love inky hands, and there are times where we are going, that was not supposed to happen. That wasn't quite the look I was going for. And I wouldn't even mind it if it dried like that, but I don't know that it's going to ever officially, totally, completely dry. And I don't want these colors to transfer. Yeah, see, this is still, look at that. It's still wet. I don't want these colors to transfer on the rest of my card or the rest of my project or my layout or whatever it is I'm doing. You don't want that. So if it dried like this, I think I'd be okay with some of these textures because they would make beautiful, beautiful flowers. But Foamerin needs a special type of an ink. So let's go now to Foamerin with Watercolor Pencil. And what do you think's gonna happen? It's Watercolor Pencil. Foamerin is kind of like vellum. It doesn't like moisture. It's not crazy about water. So I'm just gonna kind of try to get some of this on there. It doesn't even want to go on there because it is foam and the pencil tip is trying to dig into the foam and hold on to it. It's like if this was silicone and it kind of went it doesn't want to work. And then if I add my water, oh, I still have too much of, oh yeah, look at how much of that I have on there. It's a good thing Mr. SMS got me a full box of wipies. Okay, so pencil's not even moving. Watercolor pencil is a total no-go. No-go. That's a boo-hoo moment. And if you were using Foamerin and you did that, and you were thinking, oh man, now I just wasted my piece. Well, get yourself a Huggies wipe. Apparently, it's gonna pull it right off so that you can start again. At least you know you haven't wasted it because you don't wanna waste your product, right? No, you don't wanna waste your product. Last thing I'm going to use is I'm gonna use my Marabou crayons. So very much like a pan pastel, it's like a soft medium. And with this, I'm not going to want to use any water. No water at all. And I'm going to want to move it with my fingers. And because we haven't used any water, you will find your Marabou will give you the best results for making a mess everywhere. Now, if I add the water, it's all hope is gone. The minute I add the water, it'll blend, but it isn't gonna dry. Marabou crayons on Foamerin is beautiful. It is beautiful. So I added the water to get it off, and it gives you the best opportunity for it to dry. Now, some people will use a permanent based ink on this or alcohol markers because that will dry faster. But what if you don't have those available to you? I'm going to cut some of this. Cut a new piece. And I'm going to make a flower out of Foamerin so you can see how we colored it to where they're just beautiful. And I'm going to take 2 sheets because I'm going to cut 2 flowers at once. So let me just chop this piece on down. Now there are lots of people who make Foamerin. I think Heartfelt Creations makes it, Kaisercraft makes it. This happens to be from Couture Creations. They are all about the same. They're all going to react the same way. I wouldn't be surprised if they all were purchased from the same manufacturer overseas and just packaged in different brands. So Some manufacturers make Foamerin or art foam in colors, so it's not white. You'll have pinks and purples and yellows, and it's really up to you what you like best. I'm going to bring over my Big Shot machine, and I do not need a precision base plate for this. I do not. I can use my cut plate, put my Foamerin and my dies down. You know what? I've got lots of room. I'm going to cut some of these too. And what flowers are these? Well, these are Simply Refined flowers. It's a whole big set. Every flower you could ever possibly need plus leaves for $29.99. I mean, really, I'll show you later. And I'm going to roll it on through. And because the Foamerin's very thin, it should cut on one pass. I've got my multi-purpose platform completely closed. No tabs are open. And poof. So there's one. Two. This one just depends on how big I want to make it. And three. So you can cut 3-4 sheets of this at once without any problem. And then I've got kind of my tattered flowers. Now my Simply Refined flowers, you get anywhere from 4 to 5 sizes of each flower, and I want to say there's 5 flower shapes on there. So you've got lots of opportunity to make lots of flowers. And we give you some leaves and we give you butterflies. Okay, so let's put this over there. So I've got my flowers. And there's a couple different ways of doing this. And there's no right and there's no wrong. It's really what works best for you. Some people like to heat their Foamerin. And you can take, some people have shown, I think with an iron. I heard one customer tell me that she does hers with an iron. I have a heat tool here, and when you heat the Foamerin, it's going to curl it. I don't want to lose. Can you see it start to curl up on itself? Let's see if I can just hold it and do it with my hands. Oh, there we go. Can you see it curling in on itself? So my flower has now curled in. Started like this. Now it looks like that. You can heat it. It changes the texture of it. It kind of adds the ridges. It's a little bit thicker at the ridges, a little bit softer inside. It's up to you if you like that look, if you want the curl. Whether you use the heat or not, let's go ahead and let's color it. I'm going to start with a little bit of my, should I start with yellow or should I start? Well, I'm going to do just a little bit of my kind of my orangey. And I'm going to draw kind of right on. Right onto my Foamerin with my Marabou crayon. No water. And I'm going to use my fingers to just pull that color. Now you could use a dauber. You could use a dauber if you don't want to get your fingers dirty. I prefer using my fingers. One, the Marabou is not going to stain your fingers. You're going to be able to get it off your hands. Two, it gives me that feel. I can feel where I'm moving that color and be a little bit more specific with it. And then let's add some yellow in there. So I've just added some yellows. And now I'm going to move that yellow around. And if I want a little bit more red, I can come back in and I can layer those colors, because that is what Marabou is meant to do with their art crayons. And I'm just working that color, and let's add a little bit more. Well, it's orangey, but let's add a little bit more. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now to make it look like a flower, but let's do 3 of them. No, we did the 1. So it kind of looks blah. Now, what you do is you take it and you fold it in half, and then you fold it into a quarter, and then you twist it. Twist, 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 twist. And because it's foam, it likes to twist. And then you give it a nice little tug. Tug, tug, tug. And it's hardy, it's strong. You're not gonna go boop and you're gonna have 2 pieces. It's hardy and it's strong. You twist and you pull. And then when you open it up, my hands are really dirty. You've got the beginnings of a beautiful flower with a color that isn't going to rub off everywhere. Could you have a little residual left over? Maybe, just depends upon how hard you rubbed it. I tend to rub it in with my fingers, so I'm sure any excess comes off. Let's do the next size, which is, well, it's this one right here. And let's do this one with a little bit of orange and maybe a little bit of yellow in there. And that's what I've got, and let's pull it out. Pull that color out, just like you would with a pan pastel. So if you were doing Susan's Gardens, oh, these could be your new best friend. They're easier to use than a pan pastel. And they give you that exact same look and feel. Okay, so there I am. I'm gonna leave some of the tip a little bit white maybe. We'll see. Now I'm gonna fold it in half, and I'm gonna fold it into a quarter, and then I'm just gonna twist, 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 and then I'm gonna give it a little bit of a tug. Give it a little bit of a tug, a little bit of a pull. Twist, and then I'm going to open it. And then I'm going to layer it right on top. Can you see the beginnings of my flower? They look pretty good, don't they? And all flowers are different. So you see I left a little bit of white on the top. Perfectly fine. Looks great. Now I just have one more size. I'm going to take a little bit, just a little bit of Stay Put. A little bit of Stay Put on the back. So there are lots of people who will heat it, the foamer, before they start making their flowers. Nothing wrong with that. It gives you a slightly different look, slightly different feel. Let's do the last one, which is this one. And I'm going to do primarily yellow with just a little bit of orange. And rub, rub, rub. Maybe just a hair bit more orange. Okay, again, doesn't look like much when you're looking at it there, but when I fold it and twist, 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 and pull. I get something that really starts to look beautiful. Really starts to look magnificent, like a true flower. And I'm not going to worry about it getting everywhere. Foamarian or art foam is not water friendly, does not like water. So you want to stay away from the water. Can you use a permanent based ink? Yes, because that's meant for non-porous things. And this is foam. It's more non-porous than it is porous. Otherwise everything would sink right into it. But it is absolutely beautiful. And if you decided to, you could go ahead and take it. Oh, I glued it. Stacey forgot about that. Oops. You could go ahead and take it and take your little heat tool and heat, and it's going to bend and curl and bend and curl and give you a completely different look. And then while it's still warm, you can take it and twist it and fold it and twist, twist, twist. I'm doing 2 at a time, and pull, pull, pull. Well, it's not glued together anymore. That's okay. And it gives you a slightly different look. The ends are a little more frayed. The ends are a little more curled up. It's what makes you happy. What look do you like best when you're making your flowers? They're easy, easy, easy to do. And again, if you just use, so this one was already, I already put the heat on it. A little bit of blue right in the center. And then pull that blue out. Leave yourself some negative space. You can always add color, but leave yourself some negative space. So if I want to add color, because right now I've got it very light on the outside. If I want to add color, I can just go in there and add a little bit more and pull it out. And again, I like using my fingers because I can feel where I'm moving that color to. And I can manipulate that petal. I can tell I want it to go this way, or I want the color to go that way. With a dauber, it's a little more difficult because you can't actually feel it. So pretty. And maybe I put just a little bit of yellow in the center, and I pull that yellow just a little bit out. So that's what I've got so far. And then I fold it, quarter it, twist, 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 and then give it a tug. Good tug. And then open, open, open. And I've got the beginnings of my flowers that I can just layer and layer and layer. What happens if I take and I do decide I want to try my Tombow on it? I've got them. Let's give it a whirl, right? You're going to want to color straight too. But we're going to have to add a little bit of water. We can't get away from it. But I want you to see what happens. So pretty. The color is absolutely beautiful. Look at how beautiful that color is. So let's fold, fold, fold in half. Twist, twist, twist. Oh, you can see it. It's already getting all over my fingers. Twist, twist, twist. Open, open, open. And I have lost all of that color. It's all gone. Where is it? It's all on me. And even if I heat set, even if I heat, now what's happened to my color? It's even fainter. It was that robust, dark, rich, amazing color, which is now down to a very, 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 very light pastel because it is all over me. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't mind, if you want to wear gloves and that's what you've got and you're happy with the color, because you could go back and you could try and layer on another color. I just want you to know that when you're playing with the art foam or Foamarian, what we have found, what I have found, is that you have to be very specific with the ink, even if you're just doing the edges. Yes, it looks beautiful when it's all done, but what happens when you put it in the envelope? Or what happens when you put it on the paper bag that you're giving away? Or what happens when it's on a picture frame and they go and they touch it and they end up getting ink on their hands? You want to use something that's going to be a little bit more forgiving than anything with water, any kind of water that you need to use with it. It will be a little bit more forgiving for you. And because the Marabou is a pastel, it allows you to be more forgiving. And if you haven't seen Foamarian before, it's beautiful, beautiful product, and it makes beautiful, beautiful flowers super easy. So I've got my lovely color, and then I'm gonna fold, fold, fold. I'm gonna twist, twist, twist. And then I'm gonna tug, tug, tug. And I'm tugging pretty good, and you can see it's not tearing. And then I'm gonna open, open, open. Let's do the, so the color stayed. I didn't lose my color like I did with this one, but this one's done. So we might as well finish it. Twist, twist, twist. Pull, pull, pull. Tug, tug, tug. I can all hear you now doing this. Twist, twist, twist. Pull, pull, pull. Tug, tug, tug. And then open. And then I can take this one and layer this one inside of that one to start building my flower. And you just go. But it was important because this is a unique surface. It's not your typical surface. It's not something that you use every single day, that you see the difference of how it can be used and what works well with it, so that if you don't want this, use the right tools for the right job. And if you don't mind getting inky and you know you're going to lose some of your color in there, and that's okay because all the flowers are different. So my flower's a little mottled, no big deal. If I put my other one in there to build up my flower, it would look just absolutely beautiful when I'm all said and done. But will this completely dry? Just not so sure. You're going to have much better luck with the Marabou crayons on Foamarian or art foam. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk to you about is a product from Sizzix called thermoplastic sheets. What are they? Well, they look like an acetate. They look just like a plain acetate. And you can use it like a plain acetate, but that would not be using it at its best. It can absolutely go through embossing folders, and yes, it can be die cut. Let's go ahead and let's die cut. So I'm gonna grab my die. Maybe I'll cut, let's see, I'll cut 2 of them. So I've got 2 of them in there. I am going to have to use a precision base plate with this. Bring my machine back over. My multi-purpose platform, my precision base plate, so my multi-purpose platform completely closed, my precision base plate, metal side up, my thermoplastic sheet from Sizzix. And I know that there's a YouTube out there, I think the girls, my SMS girls watched it, and it was a Sizzix YouTube on thermoplastic, and I want to say that there was a film on it. So far, the thermoplastic sheets we've received in have not had a film that you have to peel off. So, so I don't know if that YouTube was done or that video was done before the product actually came in and was more prototype or what. But so far, we have not found it to have a film on it where you need to take it off. And I'm going to send it through. And you're going to hear some, you hear that? That is okay. That means it's doing its job. I know it sounds terrible, but you're cutting plastic. And then I'm gonna bring it on back. You're cutting plastic. So it's gonna creak and make that crackly sound. It's all right. You've got a big shot or a big kick. You've got a tough machine there. Let's see if they pop it on out. Easy peasy. Mac and cheesy. I'm not throwing this away. I'm gonna use this for something else. I know, right? Me saving something, I know. Okay, so what is this and what does it do? It just looks like a piece of acetate, but it isn't. It does more than that, and you have to heat it. So let's get my little heat tool out, and I'm gonna start heating my plastic. And it's going to soften that plastic and allow it to curl. It's going to allow you to move it and shape it any way you see fit. So I can make my flowers completely and totally dimensional. Flat, use regular acetate. Dimensional, thermoplastic. And because it's plastic, again, barrettes, hair clips, napkin rings, I mean, anything, decorate anything because it's plastic. It's not paper. It's not paper, so it's going to stand up to the test of time. But what happens if you don't like the way you curled it? All right, let's turn on our, and I'm gonna let it get warm. And then I'm going to lay it. And I'm going to flatten it out. And we're back to flat. But now I want to heat it again because I want to give it another whirl. I want to try again and see if I can get it to the shape that makes my heart happy. I cannot get my heat tool to stay in one place. Heat it up. And you can start moving those petals where you want them. And really, really, really make it dimensional. But how do you color this? That's a very, very good question. This is plastic. So, Memento. Gonna wipe right off. Memento, not gonna work. Gonna wipe right off. Tombow, look at it's from the water. It's Tombow. It's gonna bead on up and it's gonna wipe right off. I'm already inky, so I don't think it makes much difference at this point. Wipe right off. Watercolor pencils, you can't even draw on it. It won't even try. No can do. Marabou, almost as bad as the watercolor pencils. You get nothing. So what's gonna work on this? I would like to say the crystal tints from Creative Expressions, but not so much. It really does need good old-fashioned Ranger alcohol ink, or your Copic marker, or your Spectrum Noir markers, or whatever you have that is alcohol based. That is really what it needs. That will dry and that will become permanent. You can drop your blending solution on it. You can make all sorts of different kinds of backgrounds with it. It really is up to you, but it does take an alcohol-based product. Ooh, that was a little too much. I'm not even sure I like that purple. You can add texture with your paintbrush. You can get your Tim Holtz little spouncer for your alcohol inks, and you can make it whatever you want. And then once it's dry, I alcohol inked my brush. Once it's dry, you can die cut with it. Now I'm doing it with a heat tool. You don't have to, you can just wait. You can let it sit off to the side, but it's almost dry. It's almost dry. Yeah, everything else is gonna rub right off. And then you can cut your beautiful flowers out of it, and you can mold your beautiful flowers or your leaves, and you can put them inside each other and build them. But it is a plastic that is meant to be used with heat, because it allows you to add dimension to something that is flat plastic. I don't know. See, turn it a little bit, get that hot, and just start to mold it to what makes your heart happy. Think of all the decorations you can do. Think of Christmas ornaments that you can make. Think of beautiful, beautiful decorations around a centerpiece that you can do. Think about doing it and adding a barrette to the bottom of it after you've alcohol inked and you've made these beautiful flowers or leaves or vines or whatever you're doing that you want to add dimension to. Put a little barrette down and off you go. Super cute, because you can mold the plastic, and once it's cooled, it's in place. And if you really, really don't like it, okay, start again. Same thing here. Don't know if I have any blending solution. If you really, really don't like this, take your Tim Holtz alcohol blending solution or your Copic blending solution or some polish remover, and you can wipe off your alcohol ink and start again, and start with this plain flat sheet again. You haven't lost anything. If this is not working for you, even after you die cut it and you make it what you think you want, you can wipe this all off and have a simple sheet all over again. So it's really about different surfaces that are on the market. Yes, we all have cardstock. Sure, we all do. And there's different things that will work with cardstock. Some better than others, or using it in the right way with your cardstock, knowing when you should be palette painting as opposed to taking it straight to the paper. Absolutely, knowing when no matter what you do, it's never gonna work, or how to blend it, or what not to do with your watercolor pencils. Don't ever get your watercolor pencils wet. But then it's taking it and moving on to other materials, other surfaces that might work even better for you because they're out there and they're on the market and they are user friendly to where, gosh, even with paper leather, I could take, let's take a little bit of maybe blues. Let's do blues. I could take a little bit of this, which is my Tombow marker. I could take a little bit of this, which is my watercolor pencil that needs to be sharpened. I could take a little bit of my Marabou and lightly, well, maybe I'll do that from the, and then last but not least, well, let's get these two blended. It's a little bit of water. So there's my Tombow marker blending into my watercolor pencil. And let's get some of my yellow, which has got pink in it from my pink water. Light. Oh, there we go. Much better. Okay, so now I've blended that. And then I could add my Memento at the bottom and blend that. So I used every medium on this that we had. More green. I used everything we had on the paper leather. It's a very, very, very forgiving element. Oh, my water's dirty. All right, well now I'm making mud because my water's dirty. But I bet when it dries, it'll be pretty. Never throw it away because you think you've made mud. Let it be. Let it dry, and then go back and die cut something with it, and I bet it's absolutely fabulous. So between the regular paper, your paper leather, your foamerin, which just allows you to make the most beautiful, beautiful flowers ever. I'm going to twist this one more. Twist, 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 twist. Pull. And if you really want it to stay crinkly, 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 then just heat it. And I've seen people, well, the girls told me people were heating it on an iron, and I think a customer told me that they kind of held it up to their iron. I would rather use a heat tool if you've got it. But beautiful, beautiful flowers with your foamerin. Or the option to make a three-dimensional plastic with your thermoplastic from Sizzix. Really cool. You're going to color with your alcohol ink. So we've done a lot today, and I hope you took some notes. I do have samples to show you, along with some samples from previous releases of Simply. Oh, and I want to tell you briefly. Okay, so the Sizzix Big Shot machine, we are putting it back online for this YouTube. So drop ships come straight from Sizzix. We're going to have it on sale for you during this YouTube. We're also going to put back online for you the Spellbinder's Platinum machine. What's the difference? They both are beautiful machines. This one is a little more storage, space-wise. They will both take steel rule dies, so you'll both be able to use them with your alterations dies from Sizzix or your contour dies from Spellbinders. You're going to be able to do your wafer thin dies in this. You're going to be able to put your Go Press and Foil through this. No problem. The difference between the two, space saving, traditional. They're both great machines. You're going to be happy with both of them. It just depends upon which one works better for you. We would not offer it if we were not comfortable selling this to you. If both machines did not do exactly what they say they were going to do, I wouldn't do it. But the Spellbinder's Platinum 6 machine and the Big Shot machine are both fabulous machines. So they've been offline for a while. We're going to put them back on for this YouTube, along with all of the product from previous Simply Refined releases. Now samples. Oh well, here. Okay, Foamerin. Not very exciting. 10 sheets, $9 on sale, YouTube Yummy. Thermoplastic sheets. $6.99, they'll be on a YouTube Yummy. You get 6 sheets. Those are the ones, the plastic that's gonna curl and make you a plastic item. Then you've got paper leather in the all white. All sheets, so here 20 sheets, $12.99, 6x6, or the assorted, you get 8 black, 8 brown crafty, and 4 white for $12.99. And then the set that I was using today from Simply Refined. Like I said, it's everything you could ever want in flowers, plus a little bit more. Butterflies, stems, leaves, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different flowers, and each flower has between, on average, 4 different sizes, so you can layer them. 29 dies, $29.99. That makes them a little over $1 a die. Okay, so now, beautiful samples. So these were all done with Foamerin. And this was the make and take for today. They truly are lovely. So we use these with Marabou Crayons. Love this one. This one's in honor of Yvette, because purple was her color. So all Marabou with Foamerin. Beautiful, right? So these come in that set. All the leaves come in the set that I just showed you. Are you loving them? Butterfly comes in that set too, and that's out of Foamerin, and we curled it up with the Foamerin. So pretty. But then we have lots of samples using past sets of Simply Refined. And a lot of these have been down for a really long time. Here's my shadow box. Yes, there's a die to make a shadow box. You bet. Comes with a couple different easels. I have it upside down. Comes with a couple different easels so it can stand up. Comes with hang tabs. Comes with different designs to go around the outside. Absolutely. We've got flip side dies. Vertical, flip sides. We've got sets that are from years gone by. I think this is one of my very first sets with the windows. It had very much a happily ever afting fairy tale feel to it. In fact, one of the stamps that says, once in a while, right in the middle of an ordinary life, love gives us a fairy tale. That's one of the stamps that comes with it, and this is one of the dies. We have some of my transformations that allow you to do, you can either do an easel or a flip card with one die. Easel or a flip with one die. This is the easel. This is the flip. With one die, one set's gonna give you both. We just have lots and lots of some of my florals. And my A2 box. Yes, and it comes with all the different dies to decorate all five sides. I have no idea what's in here. Oh, yes, and the little tabs. Look at how cute are they to make your own. I mean, it's just lots of things. So some of these we have 2 of, some of these we have 5 of, some of these we have 20 of. It's kind of on a first come, first serve basis. And I could just be showing you samples for a really long time. Isn't that gorgeous? Thank you. I think it is too, but it's not my card. I don't know who did this. Doris might have done this. I'm not sure, but it's beautiful, whoever did it. It was before they started putting their names on the back. And look at this one. So, Simply Refined Best Of. We've waited to bring them back, and they're back. We have our slide on over. Pretty cool. And it's a full-size A2 card. Pretty cool. Just really pretty things. All right, I'm going to tilt on up because, like I said, I could be showing you these for hours, and that probably wouldn't be a good thing. Let me zoom on back. And I'm going to say, where are you going to get all this great product? Well, you're going to get it at scrapbookingmadesimple.com. If you're an in-store peep, you're welcome to come in for the foam marin. You're welcome to come in for the paper leather. You're welcome to come in for the thermoplastic sheets. You're even welcome to come in for the flowers that I used today. But any other Simply Refined die that is an older release, you're going to have to find it online, and it is first come, first serve until it is gone. Oh my goodness, I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned something, and I hope you see that some of the surfaces that are out there on the market today, they're not scary at all. They're wonderful, and they offer you a new and unique way to do things. And you just have to have the right medium to color it. And now you've seen what different things will do on different surfaces. So, and if you love the Big Shot, great, get the Big Shot. It's an amazing machine. If you're space conscious and you're kind of squeezed into a tight little crafting space, get the Spellbinders because it saves on space. But you will be happy with either machine, I promise you that. All right, it's me, Stacey, Scrapbooking Made Simple. I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.